from Jam Street Media.
First of all, the hardest part is selling them. This is a very long tail thing. I've been in negotiations for like 4 months, 5 months on a branded podcast. They're not easy. If you're working with a big company, there's SOWs to fill out. There's getting on their supplier list. I mean, all kinds of things that you don't think about. But if you're a network and you've got a local flavor, going local is a great idea. You can structure these at different cost levels. You can, look for clients that you already work with or people you already know and go for them to make podcasts. But before you get out there, kind of know what you're going to charge and don't undersell yourself. It's very common. I'm very bad at this myself. I often undervalue my time and effort. How much time and effort is going to go into making something like this. And it's a lot of time and effort. I want to stress that you're working with a client. It is not as easy as just making one for yourself. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. So again, when we're doing these, we'll talk about what they are, and what they're not. One thing a branded podcast is not is a sales tool. So if a client comes to you and says, hey, I want to move cars, so I want to do a podcast that makes people buy cars, I would say this is not the right thing for you. What branded podcasts do is build brand awareness. They help with SEO. They're a content creation tool, top of funnel. I think we'll get into that a little bit later. But having that selling package down is important. And it's one of the things we work with our clients on is just, putting together how you're going to sell these things and what all the extras will be, if you're doing a full video version of the podcast and if you're going to help them with promotion, if there's paid promotion tied in. So getting that sorted out is kind of important before you go out and try to sell them. But a lot of times, I've worked with a few networks where like branded kind of fell in their lap and they had companies come to them and they needed to make this strategy fast. So, that's where we come in and kind of help out with that. And don't let them do something, that's going to fail. So again, if their KPIs are, we want to sell lots of product, or we want to make sure that, at the end of the month, we've got a checklist of how many things we should have cleared or people to this site. That's not a good strategy for branded. Again, these are brand building podcasts. They're about brand values. They're about, getting the company name out there. They're about connecting with customers. They're about connecting with other thought leaders in the space. They're not good for selling. Again, have set goals and tone and a persona for the podcast. So one of the biggest things, we start with persona always. Who's this for? And sometimes the client doesn't know, they think they know, but you need to be able, that's where your expertise as a podcaster and storyteller comes in. You know how to build a persona, who's going to listen, and then setting goals that are attainable for them. And then the tone, when we, talk to a company about a podcast, we'll ask like, if your brand was listening to Spotify, what's on its playlist, things like that are really important for setting the tone, getting it right on the outset with